Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like count down or something, like 10, 9,
Like
8.
you can, there's 21 folks
Oh, I
watching
see. I
now.
see the numbers coming in. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you to first 22 people here. I'm going to wait till we get to 25 and then we're going to start. That just seems like a nice round number. One more, one more.
Oh, we
26.
did
Let's
it.
get started. Woo! We met our goal. Yay. Hi, everyone. I am Val Gay. I'm the Chief Cultural Officer for the City of Philadelphia and the Executive Director for Creative Philadelphia, which is the city's Office of Arts and Culture. And I am super excited to have here today to be in community with these great arts leaders, many of whom, or so as many as four of them. So all of whom I admire and most of whom I've worked with in some way or another, which is really great. And that's the beauty of Philly. We're so interconnected. I'm just going to say it. You all have heard it. Your mother probably told you. Always be nice to someone and you just treat people with respect because you never know. We're all related in Philadelphia. I mean, I'm just throwing that in. And I'm so grateful that I get to again be here with my colleagues here across arts and culture. We will talk about some really cool things. We'll answer some questions. I'll ask some questions. And I think I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to say their names in alphabetical order. And then after I've introduced all of them, then first name alphabetical order so they know who's coming next. And then I'm going to allow them, turn it over to them to introduce themselves and say more about themselves and their organization. So first up, we have Miss Audrey Hudson. Hey, hi, Audrey.
Hi,
We,
hi Val. Hi
hey,
everyone.
hi. And so then,
Thanks.
oh wait, I'm sorry. What I'm going to do, Audrey, because then that way I'm going to stop talking. Actually, no, go ahead, Audrey. Go ahead. You go ahead and talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
And then
ahead.
I can pass it over. I
Yep,
mean, Bill's
perfect.
gonna be next in
Yep,
line, right?
yep, perfect.
A,
Thank
B,
you.
S, T, yep. So let's so I'll jump right in. My name's Audrey Hudson. I'm the Deputy Director for Learning and Engagement at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And my job really is to lead a team of educators, programmers, art historians, English majors, everyone pretty much under the sun that come into the building. And my team gets to design learning experiences and public programs for audiences that come into our building, and then also we do external work, and so we go out into community a lot as well. And shall I go into like my Philadelphia piece and the museum, situating the museum, Val? Or
Yeah,
is that later?
no, let's do it like a round robin. So what you
Okay.
did was perfect. Then we'll go through
Okay.
it and we'll come back and talk about the organizations. Thank you.
Great. Okay,
Bill.
passing it over to Bill.
Thank you. I'm Bill Perthes. I'm actually in a newly created position at the Barnes Foundation, where I work, called Curator of Community Vitality. And we could
Ooh.
say more about what that implies, but it does say a good bit about us as an organization. The Barnes Foundation has a world-class art collection, but somewhat lesser known part of our history is that we were founded and remain today an educational institution. So when our founder, Albert Barnes, chartered the Barnes Foundation in 1922 uh, with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, he did so as an educational institution. And so education has really been at the heart of what we have done for the last 100+ years. We opened to our first class of students in 1925, and that history and the diversity of our history continues to drive what we do today and how we look towards the future, because we're mindful of our past, but also uh, very aware of changing demographics and changing interests, and the changing role of cultural institutions as we look into the next 100 years. So very much excited about the possibilities of what that'll bring. And I'll pass it over to Swib Green.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Swabreen Backer. I'm the Director of Communications and Brand Management over at Mural Arts Philadelphia. Mural Arts holds one of the country's largest collections of public art. And as stewards of that, we've helped Philadelphia be named one of the best cities for street art. We've been awarded that 3 times now, which is really excited. And every year, we add many murals, many projects. This year alone, we have over 100 projects going up in the city. Last month was a banner month for us in terms of the amount of projects. My team oversees events and marketing. So on the event side, we help with all the dedications, all the paint days, all of the community engagement activations. And on the marketing side, we tell the stories about all these murals, all these wonderful local, national, and international artists that work with us. And, we are just huge champions of public art in Philadelphia, free art. And, we're so proud and excited to be able to call Philly home. And we'll pass it to Terry.
Thank you so much. Thanks all. It's great to have this chance to share a little bit about the Arden and about Philly Theater. My name is Terry Nolan. I'm the producing artistic director and co-founder of the Arden, located in Old City. This coming season is our 39th year. Our mission is to tell great stories by great storytellers on stage, in the classroom, and in the community. We are involved with many different educational programs at the Arden. We're involved in 100 different classrooms on an ongoing basis in the Philadelphia School District. But I want to focus a little bit on the on-stage work right now. We do 7 productions a year, 5 for adults, 2 for kids. There are sort of 4 pillars of the work we do. We do audacious musical theater. We do plays that celebrate and challenge the Philadelphia artistic community. We do world-class theater for kids, and we do world premiere plays and musicals. A commitment to Philly is embedded in the Arden's mission and values. When we started in 1988, I'm originally from Upper Darby and had been away. And when I came back, it had never occurred to me that I could make a life doing theater in Philadelphia. And at that point in time, so many actors, who had headshots would put the area code 212 on their resumes, because to be deemed a Philadelphia artist was considered a negative when they were looking for work outside of this area. In the very beginning, we decided to commit to hiring Philadelphia actors. And at that time, so many actors would say to us, well, when you have money, you'll go out of town. And there were some places such as People's Light in Malvern, Hedgerow in Rose Valley, Freedom, that had strong communities of artists. But there were not, a great many artists who worked at lots of different theaters. So the commitment to Philly artists continues to be something that that's really important to us. Philly actors, directors, playwrights, designers, musicians, artisans, and having ongoing relationships while developing relationships with emerging artists is also key to us. So an example of that is James Iams. James first started working with the Arden when he graduated from Temple. He got his master's at Temple. And James was an actor 17 years ago. He worked at theaters all throughout Philadelphia as an actor as well. We hired him then as a director a couple times pre-pandemic. He was also writing plays, and he wrote Fat Ham, which won the Pulitzer Prize and became not only a Broadway hit, but also one of the most produced plays in the country. We just this past year produced a new play by James Iams, Good Bones, which is a play set in a city where a sports stadium is being developed and built in the middle of a neighborhood. It's a very Philly play. James tells everyone's side of the story in this play. And audiences were so engaged by it because it's a Philly story, but it's an incredible human story. And we just commissioned James. James is going to be doing a world premiere adaptation of Zora Neale Hurston's The Eyes Were Watching God. He's working on that now. We're going to be premiering that in 2018 as part of our 40th anniversary season. So folks like James David Corn Sweat, who's Superman, got to start at the Arden. Jill Scott was an Arden apprentice. So there are these amazing folks, and there's thousands of Philly theater artists, people who call themselves Philly theater artists, whose names you don't know, who also now live and work here in this theater community. Thank you. Thanks, Val.
So great. Thank you, Terry. So I'm putting it on my calendar.
March.
March. So
March. Yes, March
oh my
2018.
God, that's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Excellent. Thank you all so much. So we can decide as a community. I guess I should have asked you this before we started, but I'll ask us as a community of us right now, or ask for your permission. I'll ask a question, and if you feel so moved to answer it, great. If it feels like it's definitely in your wheelhouse, feel free to answer it. If you're like, not so much, feel free to pass. Okay. And then Audrey, because you went first, to give you an opportunity, and you kind of set the tone, but there were some more you wanted to say. I wanted to give you an opportunity. I'm going to throw this question out, and you can either answer this question and add what you were going to say, or just say what you were going to say. Okay. All right, so here's a question. Philadelphia is often described as one of the most layered artistic cities in America. What does that mean to you, and how do you see those layers reflected in your work?
Okay, great. Thank you. So, I think that Philadelphia, um, one of its main strengths is its cultural, it isn't any single institution, it's all of us coming together. The Philadelphia Museum of Art is situated on the Parkway and kind of atop a hill. And it was designed that way. We look right to Val. I feel like you and I should have a little telephone. Like I look right to City Hall. But it's this ecosystem that is so beautifully Philly, and it is so great. What attracted me to this city is the grittiness, the realness of people. You can have this kind of this a little bit of this angst, but then they're greeting you and they're hugging you and they're welcoming you into their communities all at the same time. Um, and so, I think about the museum. We have a world-renowned collection, and we have murals in every city. We have theaters. We have theaters like the Arden. I've been lucky enough to attend a couple of shows at the Arden, and of course the Barns. We're working with Mural Arts right now. So all of you in different ways, you've worked with in some capacity. We've all worked in some capacity, and then Val, of course, you too. So I feel like we are keepers of histories and stories that shape the city. And that's what makes us uniquely the Philadelphia. And I think about we have the PMA, what something that distinguishes us with all the institutions that we have in the area is, the PMA is encyclopedic. We have an encyclopedic collection, over 240,000 works of art, spanning 4,000 years, right? Barnes has a different collection. The Calder has a different collection. And so, going to each of these areas and then bringing them together so beautifully on the Parkway is what makes us us. And I think mapping those, I often hear the comparison between cities or between North American cities. And it's like, no, but we are us. And we get to map our own constellation. We get to bring all of ourselves to the work that we do. And I want to say that, in learning and engagement at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, we aim to ignite programs and educational experiences grounded in our collection to foster creativity, connection, and really a sense of belonging. And that's the youngest visitor to the oldest visitor, visitors that have never come to visit us, and then visitors that we do want to welcome into our doors. And we're driven by the civic leadership and the civic understanding of our place in the city and our community participation to design experiences where people get to experience the wonders of art and lifelong learning. So that's Philadelphia to me, and that's where the museum is situated and the work that I get to do. I feel very privileged to be doing the work at the museum that I get to do. So.
That's awesome. Thank you, Audrey. That's a great answer. Does anyone else want to jump in about how we are so layered and what that means to you and your work?
Mhm. Yeah, I can jump in. I think what's exciting and interesting about Philadelphia is the network and the connections and the ways in which artists over time are nurtured here. I've known some
Mm.
artists and seen their career grow over the past like 20 years, and it's so exciting to me to see them participate in things like Art Philly, that huge new public exhibition, or to be back in collaborations with colleagues that I worked with, 7 years ago, like you and Bill, or it's just so interesting how people are so committed to the city and they strongly believe
Mm.
in the arts sector here. One thing that I've loved and learned about the work that Mural Arts does is that, a lot of our murals, they feature the stories of everyday heroes. These are everyday people that were deeply impactful to their community. The people who get to work on these murals, they can be emerging artists, they can be professional artists, they can be people who have had many years of experience, or they can be people who've been touched by incarceration, or they can be people who have been touched by housing insecurity. Um, I don't know of many other cities where the participatory aspect and the storytelling aspect and who gets to be seen on those walls, who gets to contribute to the art, is as expansive as it is here in Philadelphia. And I think like that's one of the strengths of the city on the arts sector here.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank
I,
you. Sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
I also think the layers of the cultural community, the layers of the theater community are an incredible strength. There are large institutions, obviously such as the Walnut, um, all of these medium-sized theaters, the Wilma and Philadelphia Theater Company, the Quintessence, Lantern Arden, so many, and there's Theater Philadelphia, which is an organization, a service organization of all of the theaters. And they run something Theater Week, which is every April. It's one week that celebrates all of Philadelphia theater. And the tickets are pay what you choose for that week. They also do the Barrymore Awards, which are the Philly Theater Awards. The Barrymore Awards last year had 44 participating theaters affiliated with that program. Um, and so all of those theaters are having, multiple week runs, are hiring professional artists. Then with the Fringe, the Pig Iron training program, Pig Iron is a devised theater making a company who has brought so much attention and so many artists to Philadelphia for, the movement devised work that they do. So there are all of these layers of organizations and artists and individual companies that come together for one production. And every year there are grads, from theater programs throughout this region who are starting new companies, creating projects specifically for the upcoming Fringe Festival, making their own work, telling their own stories.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
One thing that I would add, and I think it's something that runs through all of our organizations, committed to, and likely all of us, uh, increasingly building, and that's the intersection of our arts community and the broader community. The way in which all of us have a commitment, not only to our distinct art form, but also how can we serve our community? Right? I think that's one of the great benefits of a city the size of Philadelphia, where we have the opportunity to have a level of visibility that we can reach out, connect to in a really, profound, personal, and lasting way to to serve the audience of today and to build the audience of tomorrow, right? Whether that's adults who visit a collection or a theater for the first time, or welcoming school children who then go back and tell their parents and their grandparents and then hopefully bring them and remember 20 years from now. I remember the first time I walked up the steps of the PMA, or I saw Matisse's dance mural at the Barnes. That intersection of arts and community, I think that's something that's really, I don't want to say that it's necessarily unique, but it's something profoundly Philadelphian.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Bill. Yeah, because as you were talking, I could see all of us going, "Oh yeah, I have those distinct memories, right?" I think we all do in some way. And in fact, I remember the first mural I saw. I remember the first time I went to the art, and I remember the first time I went into the Barnes. And certainly, my I remember seeing the painting of the Moor at the PMA and that being struck, that and the Annunciation, the two of those as a child, they just struck me. So anyway, that's so great. So thank you so much. So I think this is a really interesting question. It's about our history, including our neighborhoods, our industries, and diverse communities. How have they all shaped the city's artistic identity today? Whoever wants to jump in.
I won't hog, but uh, that is a particularly salient aspect of our history because our founder Barnes, as a Philadelphian, uh, growing up in a poor neighborhood, educated at Central High School, University of Pennsylvania, going off, making a fortune, but coming back to Philadelphia. And I think that's the real key, that when he made the choice of where to bring his burgeoning laboratory that would end up making him the money that he would use to amass the art collection that he did, he chose Philadelphia. And uh, he chose to bring in communities of women and African Americans in the 1910s, 1920s, something that was very unusual at the time, and that motivation, that ideology, continues to uh, to be a focus of ours, and to drive our intentions as we look forward.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else?
Well, I would say, what was happening on the walls of Philadelphia inspired Jane Golden. Um, when during the anti-graffiti network days, she had a vision, and this vision turned into this incredible organization that we know today, some 40 plus years later, some 4,000 plus murals later. And, it started with a vision to give graffiti artists opportunity to become professional artists or to work in a different sort of medium that wasn't spray paint. Eventually, we've gone back and we've done many spray projects, but the ways in which every corner, every neighborhood has impacted the history of mural arts, is immeasurable. There's Murals are situated in certain neighborhoods because of the person within the mural, because of the story that is being told about that neighborhood within the mural. These projects define the history of the city, of small pockets of it, of interesting little neighborhood heroes who live there, of big neighborhood heroes who have become international superstars like Jill Scott or The Roots, or, we have a mural coming up for Questlove this fall. So it is, we're writing Philadelphia history each time we make one of these things. And I think that that's really special.
And can I jump in here, Sabrine, but with mural arts, the impact that it has had on me and what I hear and what I see. But I mean, you're using this medium to tell stories, right? Coming out of graffiti, which is so brilliant, making it, creating these mural projects and working with artists. And yes, they're graffiti artists, and then all of a sudden they become muralists. and there's still graffiti artists on the side, but yes, they're making that pretty mural. I feel like they're tagging on what, in the nighttime and then, oh, doing the mural during the day. But graffiti is, and I just want to talk about that history in the city of Philadelphia, like going back, with Cornbread, recognizing his work, and his tags all over the city. And then, then he had an exhibition. Um, and then, where is he? How is he memorialized? How do we make sure that people get their flowers when they are, when they're living, and then also posthumously as well. But I think that those murals create that narrative of Philadelphia anywhere you go. You bump into one and you're like, oh, and a lot of people that I talk to have a favorite mural or a mural that they revisit when, it's like, oh, I just need to take a breath. Much like you come into the art museums, like, oh, I go to that painting, you go to the Morris Chief.
Mhm.
You go to your favorite mural and you can take that breath and, just have that little reset. That's what art can do. Arts of all kind can do. And so I think that, yeah, telling those stories and making them live, giving those that lived experiences giving the lived experiences on the walls to the people that are seeing them, taking them in, and also the folks that are being commemorated on the walls. So that's how I see the murals in the city telling our story. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Terry, did you want to say something?
Mhm. I think um, I think our work, I think our connection to communities and neighborhoods is through the stories that we tell and how we tell them. Um, in addition to James Iams, we have a focus on commissioning other Philadelphia playwrights. So we have ongoing relationships with Michael Hollinger, Cash Goins, Lorraine Carey. Um, and these are great Philadelphia writers who we have done multiple plays who have been involved with us in different ways. So audiences develop a connection to their work, their voice, and they have been telling um, they've been telling stories are that they're burning to tell, and they're always the things that our audiences connect with most. When an artist has something they really want to say, and they know that they have listeners who are open to it, that ability to connect can be profound. It can be greater than the experience just inside of the theater. The other thing we've tried to do is see how we can reach out or how we can make going to the theater uh, how we can remind audiences that we're all in the same room together. So we move the theater around. So sometimes it's in the round, sometimes it's environmental, sometimes it's in the smaller space. We did a production of Our Town, and for that production, Act One took place at the Arden. Act Two took place next door at Christ Church. And Act Three took place again at the Arden, and there was a different community choir or music group involved with every production, and special guests from throughout the community, from you know governor, politicians, to teacher of the year, and people who have done amazing things throughout this area who were special guests at each performance. So figuring out how we can keep reminding people that we're all here together, we're all breathing the same air, um, and that it's a place that every time you come in, hopefully it's a little bit different. And so that it's alive in that way is something that we seek to do.
That's really great. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. That's really inventive with the Our Town. So I'm going to take a couple of questions from the Q&A the audience, a couple audience members um, have posed, and they kind of center around community, like you just said, Terry, but from the perspective of community as an artist. So first up, this is for our museum related folks. What are some specific ways contemporary visual artists living in Philadelphia can engage with the museum world?
Audrey, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, Bill, you go for. Okay, I'll go. I'll be brief, but I think about the way that we engage with contemporary artists. in our performances, that came to mind particularly, and having performance in the museum, bringing a work of art to life, or commissioning a performance. Uh, we had the Philadelphia Heritage Chorale in a couple weeks ago, and it just brought a work by Elinette Sui, a Ghanaian artist, to life. So you were able to experience the acoustics and really the angelic sounds of the choir while taking in the visual aspect. And so that multi thread of arts really does bring in contemporary. And I think that, whenever we have in public programming, we're able to be a little bit more nimble than, let's say, curatorial shows are researched and planned, 3 to 5 years in advance, 2 to 5 years in advance. And so bringing in a performance is a way that we can bring the exhibition to life in a different way. Working closely with our curatorial team, and telling those stories, making those relevant collect connections to audiences of today, maybe younger generations, older generations, and really thinking about that multidisciplinary, and also that multi-generational thread that we want to weave through and through in the contemporary performances. Maybe
Yeah, and I'll say
Bill?
from the Barnes standpoint, we have we come to this question with a bit of a challenge because we are a permanent collection in that we don't change our collection. Um, we do have a special exhibition space where oftentimes uh, local artists are part of that uh, from the past as well as uh, contemporary. Um, but I want to highlight maybe some unexpected ways in which artistic expression is lifted up at the Barnes. So, for instance, our pre-K through 12 uh, every year run a program uh, called The Art of Math, where they choose works from our collection, and then school children use math to take a two-dimensional object and to turn it into a three-dimensional diorama. And they have to support the choices that they made through math. And the objects that they come up with are incredibly creative, inventive, and so again, a really nice way in which art uh, can react to, respond to, and be used for different educational purposes. And the other one that's particularly close to me, we just last week opened a joint exhibition with Mural Arts Philadelphia. This year, the special exhibition is called Just Us. It's a restorative justice exhibition featuring Philadelphia artists, justice impacted young adults from 24 to 28 from Mural Arts Rec Crew, and incarcerated artists at SEI Phoenix, shown together in our first floor gallery classroom, nestled right between two of our permanent collection galleries. And so really lifting up the voices of not only local artists, but also uh, extremely marginalized artists. And I'll say that this year's exhibition, like other years, but potentially even more so this year, visually impactful and thought provoking. You can't see this exhibition without walking away, at least pondering some of the questions that it presents.
Wow, that's wonderful. I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna see it next week. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you both so much. And not to leave you out, Terry, there is a performing arts question specifically for the Arden. Does the Arden ever have open auditions for non-union actors who want to go union?
Yes, we do. Um, we have open auditions. They're advertised on Theater Philadelphia. Um, and we have them for both our main stage work and then our children's theater work. And then we'll also have focus calls. When we were doing Romeo and Juliet, we had huge open calls because we were looking for lots of young artists. Likewise, for Dear Evan Hansen, we had big open calls, for young artists. I encourage folks if they're interested to show up. There was during the pandemic, folks would send in tapes often. Nothing beats coming into a room. And there's always, directors, not only art and directors, but folks who are working on the production who direct elsewhere. So the exposure that comes from those in-person auditions is invaluable. Theater Philadelphia used to host a citywide open audition with all of the theaters participating. And I know that they're trying to get that going again. And so I think that we'll be going forward this fall. So again, check Theater Philadelphia for information about those citywide auditions as well.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. So, Swabreen, I'm going to start with you in this next question to keep with the community theme. Community is central to each of your organizations, so to Mural Arts. What does a meaningful community engagement look like in your work, and why is it so important?
Yeah, I could speak to a project that we're currently working on called Heart of Kensington Creates. This is a multifaceted project that is happening in the Kensington neighborhood, and it involves six smaller murals, six larger murals, a gallery activations with galleries in Kensington, a partnership with Affirmation Avenue, who make those beautiful signs telling Black history. And what we're doing as part of that is, we've had about three community engagement sessions so far with folks, and they're able to speak to the artists. They're able to help determine the artwork that is going to be on this murals. Another huge part of Heart of Kensington Creates is the Gusset Plate project. So members of the Kensington community have helped paint over 400. They're these little triangles. They're called gussets, and we've installed a couple of hundred of them under the L at the moment. So, it's works by the community. They can see their works, installed in a very public space in their neighborhood. It's their ideas. It's made by their hands. And, that's really exciting. That's just like one of the many ways in which community engagement happens with Mural Arts. Before I joined Mural Arts, I didn't realize just how much community input was involved in a lot of these murals. It often takes a lot of time, many months, sometimes years. Sometimes the artists go back to the drawing board. It's quite an involved process to get something from conception onto the wall. And the people who live within these neighborhoods do get a lot of say as to like what they're going to be looking at on a day-to-day basis for many years to come.
That's really great. I mean, it's such an uplifting process having been a part of putting two murals up on a building and just seeing how careful Mural Arts was with the community is really, really important. I'll throw it out to anyone else who wants to talk specifically about community engagement and how it shows up in your work. If anyone wants to answer.
Yeah, I'm happy to say a bit about that, because it actually goes very much to this new position that I've taken over of curator of community vitality. One of the intentions of this new position is to put more focus on the kind of programming that we do that is intended and specifically to reach particular audiences. So, for instance, uh, programming that's focused on well-being. We have a program that we began last fall with the Parkinson Council that welcomes people experiencing Parkinson's and their care partners. It's a gallery experience as well as a hands-on art making experience. And in the fall, we'll be launching a program for people experiencing uh, Alzheimer's and dementia and their care partners. And these programs in particular are intended for audiences that might feel um, maybe less inclined to visit on public days for a variety of reasons. And so to create space, to really intentionally create space that not only welcomes them, but welcomes their families, those people that have really dedicated themselves to helping a loved one, a parent, a spouse, and so forth. And increasingly being able to, as we look towards the future, doing more programming like that to open our space to everyone who has an interest in being here and creating the possibility, the opportunity for them to join us.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so this is an interesting question. Maybe Audrey, you can answer this again from the audience. With the renovation of PMA, we lost the art history lectures in the now defunct auditorium. Will they return? Do you know anything about that?
All right. So the talks that we have, and yes, the auditorium that we that was part of the it was part of the master plan, but it wasn't ever fully realized. We do have a auditorium across the street at Perlman, which we utilize, and it seats 160 people. And so we utilize that quite a lot for our art history talks. We also have some seminar rooms. We have a talk coming up this Saturday. We're opening the exhibition workshop of the world, and Judith Schechter, a glass artist who has a piece in the exhibition, will be talking about use of human-made versus AI and what those conversations are happening. And Judith has taught at U Arts and has a very deeply rooted Philly connection. So we still do lectures. We also host lectures online. A lot of our that talk that's coming up, it is going to be streamed. So we're looking at the multiple platforms for access, and we will continue. We do at least one talk. It's about 11 to 12 talks per year. So average about one a month. We have a couple of big ones coming up in September, so you can look out for that. But talks are alive and well. We also do author book launches and talks, often with
Mm.
curators or art historians, educators. So there's a lot happening. No, we do not have a large auditorium, but yes, we have an auditorium that seats 160. Yes, we have spaces that can hold up to 80 people. And yes, we are continuing with our lectures. So it's not lost.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Thank you. I didn't
Mhm.
know most of that, so that's great. I've been in the auditorium, which is really lovely. It's a lovely auditorium.
Beautiful. It's
Great.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's across
it
the
really is.
street. So
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're, yeah, it,
But it's nice to
you
be in
know,
that building too. It gives you a reason to kind of
yeah.
walk around that building too, which is really great.
hmm
Which is really great. Awesome. Thank
And can I
you.
add sorry, Val, but before we head off to the next question, but I just want to add a tiny piece about the community engagement
Mm,
aspect of the work that we do at the museum. But we are always attempting to go out into the communities that we serve and also defining what communities we serve. It is hard to service every single community in this city. And so what is it? Where is it? Where are we needed? Where do we get invitations to, right? Like we are respectful in that way. And so where are we getting invitations to? We try our best to go. We have a healthy roster of teaching artists, which is really exciting because these artists are practicing artists and then they are educating our young people, educating people in general. And so combining those and there's definitely a community of them. And I think even just like with the 4 or 5 of us on screen today, we could collect overlapping names of artists that we all work with, right? And so how do we support that work? And one of my ethos in the work that I do and the work that I carry is how do we take care of artists? Yes, we steward our collections, we steward our theaters and our spaces, but how do we take care of those artists that are living with us that are, how do we ensure we get them those paychecks a week later or 2 weeks later, not 2 months, 6 months later, right? Like that is part of this piece on. I'm gonna borrow this term of radical hospitality. My team was talking about the values that they are ensuing, and some one of my team members came up with radical hospitality. Broad Street Love does that, has that as their values, and we're thinking of
Mhm.
encompassing that. And what does that mean? It's like it is that caretaking, that belonging, that
Mhm.
respect, that reciprocal respect, and that give and take. And so, thinking about that community and how we take care and service the artists that are out there every day, out in our organizations and in schools, in community centers, in churches, everywhere doing this good work. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. That was
Mhm.
great. And it was also a great segues as if you were reading my notes, because the next question is really around community building from this side out, if you will. Where do you see opportunities for greater collaboration among Philadelphia's arts and cultural organizations? And I'm going to amend it a little bit uh, around programming, but also around people caring, right?
Mm.
People tending, I guess. And why does this matter for us to collaborate? Why does that matter?
I can talk a little bit about Arden's. With every production affords new opportunities, and our focus is to make sure that the work is open to all, but that those people who are most connected to that story, who knew that story, know that it's going on and have access. One of the ways we do that is every final dress rehearsal is we partner with another organization, and that organization can do anything they want with it. And so often, they'll make tickets available to their constituents. Any money that's raised goes to that partner organization. And those performances can be profound. We did the musical Rent last year, and Gallet was the partner organization, and the theater was packed. There was not a seat to be had. And the audience, many of them knew the show, loved the show. There was a great reception. There were some great drag queen performances beforehand. So there was the entire event was a celebration. And that continued to pay off throughout the entire run, because there were so many people who would say, "Oh, I heard about it from," or were able through Galet's continued, promotions or sharing information about it, knew about the production. We try to do that with every show we do. Another thing we try to do is we have a residency program where we have 3 theaters, so we make the space available to other companies. So Go Cash Productions and Teatro del Sol, First World Repertory Ensemble, First World Theater Ensemble, Anti-Hero Theater Company, where they produce, productions. We provide, we have box office and technical support, and it allows them to tell the stories that they want to tell. And another way of making the art an open with as many different stories as possible.
Audrey, I'm so glad you brought that up. And Val, this is a great question. Actually, this week I was chatting with my team, and I'm organizing a couple field trips for us because we have this partnership with the Fabric Workshop and Museum for the Just Crimes exhibition, and also with the Barns for Just Us. We'll be doing Barns on the Block with them. And, I think for us, we're so steeped in the work in the day to day. I was like, the team needs to be able to like go outside, one, meet our other comms colleagues doing this work, meet the curators, be able to like see the work that they're busy marketing, promoting, helping to create events around. Because, for us, we like work very quickly. We're handling multiple events per week. So it's really important for me to be able to like make space for the team to go and see the impact of what it is that we're doing and understand like why we're doing this. And, the communications work goes multiple ways. It's both external and internal. And I think, building out the team's capacity for just like taking in what it is that we're doing and, having a chance to reflect on that work. Because I think oftentimes within the work that we're doing, that period of reflection is not something that we bake in often, but it's
Mm.
so important, and for us to me, like make these connections because they've been like very vital for me to like maintain years long connections with people that I've worked with within the art sector. And, a lot of my team are very young, and for them to understand the importance of that too, to like understand who's working in comms over at the fabric workshop and museum, what challenges are they facing? Because like having these opportunities where you can go and like talk to people who are dealing with similar things that you are so vital and so important. And it creates like a nice, like safe space where you could be like, oh, so and so also deals with this. How do they tackle it? Maybe they have a good solution. And information sharing, that kind of thing is just so vital. I think. So I'm really excited for, to do more of this. It is my goal to be able to like have these touch points and these connections in many, if not all, the arts organizations, not just the one we collaborate with regularly. Because I think like when you work in the arts, being able to take in the arts, appreciate the arts, understand different art forms, all that kind of stuff, that's so important because it's not just our work that we're doing creating social content or whatnot. It's gathering an appreciation on the learning for what it is. That was one thing I appreciated with my time at the Barnes Foundation. I learned so much about art there, like the emphasis on the education aspect of it was so impactful for me. And, that's something I want to take forth with my team that I have now.
That's great, Swarby. Yeah, I learned a lot at the Barnes. And it's this idea of us collaborating there. I think I was talking to someone earlier, another arts leader earlier, and the sky's the limit, like we can literally do whatever we want to do, frankly. And we make up these amazing opportunities and we see it all the time. So I believe the Barnes and Mural Arts is the Barnes's longest running partnership, right? Which is
Hmm.
so great. And to have the exhibition. I encourage everyone watching to go to the Barnes and see the special exhibition with mural art. Bill, is it in the first floor classroom?
It is.
The first floor classroom is just is really it's always remarkable to see it and to see these great opportunities, the work that's happening at the PMAs. They're always doing something, and that great wing down there that you have now, Audrey, is so wonderful. If people haven't been, they have to go and see all the great work that's happening. Certainly, Terry, everything that you were just talking about with the community, particularly the community of artists and Philadelphians, it's like it's both and for you, right? So it's like diving in and supporting the community of Philadelphia artists and then having some of our stories reflected back to us as audiences is really, really, really powerful. And I'm so grateful for that. And, we're in the last leg of, I'm looking at the clock, the last leg of our conversation. And there are two questions that I want to leave you with. So if you could do this be a lightning round, and I want everyone to participate on this next to last question, penultimate question, if you will, and then the last question will be directed directly to the audience. So this next to last question, what gives you the most optimism about the future of Philadelphia's arts and culture community?
I,
Don't make me have to choose.
I would say Philadelphians generally, Philadelphia
Hmm.
artists are pretty resilient.
Mhm.
Like, they can do a lot with a little.
Mhm.
They find ways. A lot of the organizations that, I've worked in, it's a hustle and we get it done. And I think building in that kind of like resilient capacity helps people be able to kind of like, not to put in a Rocky analogy, but they, they can take a hit and get back up. And I think that's, one of the strengths of the Philly arts sector.
Awesome. Excellent.
I would also say young artist, especially for us in the past year, having done Rent, Romeo and Juliet, Dear Evan Hansen, all three of which a significant number of the cast were working with us for the first time. And many of them were college seniors or just out of college. And the energy and passion and belief in the power of art is incredible. And I think figuring out how we continue to nurture that, and with the loss of the university arts, it becomes even more critical that we figure out how we sort of step up and provide those opportunities for young artists.
Thank you.
I would
I'd
say as
say,
a, go ahead, Audrey.
go ahead, Bill, you go this one.
Oh, I'll be quick. I I feel as though we're at a critical moment because what I'm seeing is increased interest in, and we see it here, but even more so in collaboration rather than siloing as institutions, rather working together because we our strength. And again, as a city, this is something I think that we can really build on and distinguish ourselves is working together, building on each other's strengths. And that makes me hopeful for the future.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I'd say, it's this placemaking of past and present, and that's what Philadelphia feels like to me. And then panels like this, right? Like panels like this where we all get together and we get to talk, we're talking with the audience members that care about the arts and culture, and all of us so passionately about the arts and culture in the city. So, that's the optimism for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Excellent. As I go into the last question, um, I just have to read Marie's quote, a comment. The pioneering energy of our youth gives me the most optimism. Creativity shows up in so many different ways. Our young people, with their optimism, willingness to try new things, give me great optimism. Thank you so much, Marie. Here, 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 here. So here's our last question. Um, I'm going to give each of you 45 seconds tops. Hold on. Set my timer. Hold on. 45 seconds, so that we don't go over, to answer the question. If you could leave our Phambassadors with one message about Philadelphia's arts and culture that they can share with visitors, what would it be? Go, Bill.
There's a lot to see, and try to do as much of it as you can.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a shout out to the TKTS booth at the Visitor Center. Started a year ago. One of the few cities, I think the only besides New York, that has such a booth. Discounted tickets. There's for lots of performing arts, not just theater. We when we did rent, we had a couch seating, and you could get cheap couch seating, and you would sit in couches around the stage. And people were showing up half an hour before the booth opened. And there was community in line waiting for the tickets and being part of that. So send people to the TKTS booth, and they can get cheap tickets to see something here in Philly.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you.
I'd say, visit one thing every weekend. One thing, make it attainable. There's so much going on.
Mm.
One cultural institution per weekend. I think that's what I've been trying to do, and I think that'll get you a long way. And talk to people. That's what I'd say too. Open a door, say hello, talk to people.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah,
Marie?
I agree with that in terms of exploring all the many different kind of art forms that we have here. If you're interested in a more classic historical kind of artwork, you can educate yourself at the PMA or at the Barnes. If you're interested in contemporary art, you can go to the Fabric Workshop or the ICA. If you're interested in incredible free public art, you can take a tour with Mural Arts. You can explore the theater. We have a excellent indie film program here. There's so many great places like Black Star, Cinespeak, Lightbox. Philadelphia, I think, is very spoiled for art across the board, music, film. It is a very fun city to, educate yourself in, to learn something new, to explore something unexpected. The Fringe Festival is always a super fun way to discover new artists, new art forms, a new neighborhood. Yeah, there's just like so much to do here.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you all so much. And so I'm gonna put in my two little plugs. when people want to go see Rocky, take them first to see Joe Frazier
Mm.
and learn, and to be seeped in history, and then have them run or somehow get up to those top of the stairs and see how art can imitate life. And I'm so proud that it's my office actually. They got to move both of those statues, and so it's a really wonderful time for us. Finally, we're right at 8 o'clock, but raise your hand if you accept volunteers for your work. Hey, wonderful. So, what I'll ask Jackie is, perhaps with your permission, my colleagues, if Jackie could share contact information as a part of this recording, and people please feel free to contact us to volunteer. We love our Phambassadors. I'm so grateful when I see people. I almost ran up on a couple yesterday morning, but I realized 8 o'clock in the morning was too early to be so hyped. We're like, oh my gosh, you're a Phambassador. They looked like they were on like a morning date. They were holding hands. It was really sweet. So I didn't want to intrude. But we love you, and we just thank you all so much for your interest. I said earlier on this call, before we started with you all, this is our time. This is our collective time. And Philly gets to define what Philly is, and we are bringing the world to Philly, but we also are bringing Philly to ourselves. And so I'm so grateful to be in communities with these great folks. So please join me in your homes, silently clapping, giving an applause to Audrey and Bill and Swabreen and Terry. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Jackie, and the Philadelphia Visitor Center.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us. I really appreciated it. I was like, and like Val said, if you're open to it, I will gladly share your contact information for anyone that wants to volunteer. I was like, the Phambassadors come with that Ask Me Anything About Philly shirt, so they're easy to spot and recognize, and they can easily talk about all of your work that you've done and that you've shared tonight. So thank you all. I was like, for the fam, one other volunteer plug, stay tuned to join the force. We're going to be having some City Hall tower tour options as well as building options. So if you are really into history and you want to spend a couple hours a week or even just an hour giving a building tour or a tower tour, it's coming soon, I promise. So, but thank you everyone. Have a lovely rest of your evening and great summer.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.